And that's totally ignorant. I would never do that to my children or any child. Try to kill them? Come on, stupid. And why would I put a scarf over the baby's face if I was trying to throw him off the balcony?
I experience audio hallucinations sometimes with camera clicks and severe paranoia. You're constantly like walking on eggshells, constantly looking over your shoulder, like you have to sit up straight and act right, because if you don't, it not only reflects on your reputation, your family's reputation.
After Michael Jackson's death, he left behind 3 children. His sons and daughter had to figure out how to handle the press and then how to sue the doctor who killed their father. They were also left to answer to their father's allegations and to pick up all the broken pieces left behind all on their own. So let's get into it. If you aren't subscribed to the Let's Get Into It podcast, then you're only getting half the tea. For longer videos, deep dives, and of course, more of me, subscribe to the Let's Get Into It podcast listed in the description below. Michael Jackson was an incredible performer and a unique man. I think we can all acknowledge that he had a very particular lifestyle, and it must not have been easy being the most famous pop star out there. Also, he had mental health issues, but today I want to focus a little bit more on his children and what these 3 kids went through. I mean, it can't be easy being Michael Jackson's kids, but I want to start off by talking about his youngest, Blanket Jackson, aka Biggie. Now, Biggie's real name is Prince Michael Jackson II. He was born in 2002 and his nickname was Blanket. He decided to take on the nickname Biggie as he got older, and he pretty much lives his life anonymously compared to his sister and brother. Now, Biggie lost his father when he was only 7 years old, and he's gone through a ton of struggles, trauma, and heartbreak. Even though his father left behind a massive fortune, an estate that would allow him and his kids and so on to never have to work again, it still doesn't replace what he had experienced. Now, Biggie's baby years were cloaked in controversy and scandal. Now, of course, Biggie has no real memory of some of the most controversial moments in his life, starting when he was 9 months old and his father dangled him over the side of a 5th floor balcony of his Berlin hotel room. Now, this was a scary moment. I remember seeing this footage, and I feel like everyone's seen it, where Michael is holding the baby with one arm and there is a towel over the baby's head, and everyone is just frightened. Oh God, what did I just watch? I mean, did he then throw the towel that his baby was being covered in? Also, when he held the baby over, it just looked really frightening. Like, it looked like he almost lost control. After this footage was released, he put out a statement saying, "I made a terrible mistake. I got caught up in the excitement of the moment. I would never intentionally endanger the lives of my children." Now, of course, this is scary for anyone watching. I mean, I would be concerned and wanting to take that baby away immediately. I don't even have a kid, but I just felt that instinct come in, and I can't imagine what would lead Michael to doing this.
Have you been hearing about what people have been saying?
And that's totally ignorant. I would never do that to my children or any child. Try to kill them? Come on, stupid. And why would I put a scarf over the baby's face if I was trying to throw him off the balcony? We were waving to thousands of fans down below, and they were chanting they wanted to see my child. So I was kind enough to let them see. I was doing something out of innocence.
Something's a little bit bizarre about that. Also, go back and, play the tape, but I don't think I saw thousands of people. At this point, it's like 50 people in front of the hotel, and it just seems a little unhinged. Now, of course, Biggie has no real memory of this scandal because he was a baby. In 2003, just a year after Biggie was born, Mike was charged with 7 counts of child abuse and 2 counts of administrating an intoxicating agent to commit child sexual abuse felony. Oh, wow. A lot of bad things. I don't even know if we could say this on YouTube. Now, Michael denied these allegations and was ultimately acquitted. Still, the press dived deep into every aspect of his life and his relationship with his 3 kids. So there's a lot of scandal happening right when Biggie is an infant. I mean, people are saying that he needs to be arrested for what he had done to Biggie, putting him over the edge of the balcony. And there were these slew of crimes that really did not look good. Now we're going to talk about Paris, but I want to talk about Prince, Michael Jackson's eldest son. Prince Jackson grew up as one of the most famous celebrity children of all time, but his father, Michael Jackson, did his best to shelter him and his siblings as much as he could. The late singer was notorious for covering his children in masks and face coverings when they were little to maintain privacy, which I think is a little bit hard for the child to probably like. It must have some implications of identity. I don't know, but like putting a mask on a baby just seems wrong. Now, the kids never really left their home. They were at Neverland Ranch until moving to Beverly Hills in 2004, where they were homeschooled. They always wore masks and face coverings whenever they went outside in public. And as you guys saw in that previous interview, Michael was so insistent on covering his baby's face that he wanted his baby to be in the interview, but wanted to cover their face again, which some people did not enjoy.
It is.
Hold on, let me. Here's the bottle. Wait. Ah! Here's the bottle. Wait.
It's okay, just get this off.
Ow! Oh, please don't cry, blanket. Oh, blanket. Okay, here we go. Abu. Yes, Abu.
I did not like how that reporter was reaching for Michael's baby. Like, get your hands off of my kid. This person is sent by the media to report on this, not to get handsy and to reveal the baby's identity. That was just gross to watch. Now, Prince is Michael Jackson's oldest child, and he really struggled with Michael's death like all of them did, especially with everything that happened after, because there was a doctor, Dr. Conrad Murray, who the family claimed acted in the best interests of AEG Live, the concert promoter managing the singer's This Is It residency, and they claimed that this doctor was the person who led Michael Jackson ultimately to death. Imagine a promoting company like Live Nation just so, banking on a residency that they hire a doctor, a private doctor to come in and to treat the performer to make them workable, not to make them more healthy, but to get them working and dancing and just pump them up with the drugs. Prince took the stand to recount the harrowing last days of his father's life. He lamented about how Michael lived in fear and was at odds with AEG leading up to his tour and ultimately death. He would say, "They're going to kill me. They're going to kill me," he remembered during the trial. Prince also testified that he and his siblings heard his father screaming in pain on the night of his death. Quote, "I ran upstairs and saw Dr. Conrad doing CPR on my dad on the bed," he revealed. "My dad was hanging halfway off the bed. His eyes were rolled back in his head." And Prince saw all of it.
Heart-wrenching stories from the bodyguard and cook who worked for Michael Jackson. First-hand accounts of the failure to save his life and how Prince came to watch.
What did he shout?
Get help, get security, get Prince. I dropped what I was doing and I ran to go get Prince. I said, "Hurry, Dr. Murray needs you. There may be something wrong with your father."
It was Dr. Murray who tells Alvarez to call for an ambulance, but he's distracted by a scream. Prince is back, and this time his sister Paris is with him.
They were right behind me, and Paris screamed out, "Daddy." Dr. Conrad Murray said, "Hurry! Don't let them see their dad like this."
Prince recalled hearing the news of his father's death from the man who was later convicted of causing it. Quote, "Sorry kids, your dad's dead," is what Dr. Conrad said to Prince and the rest of the children. Prince said, "I was 12. To my understanding, he was supposed to make sure my dad stayed healthy." Yet he was in fact the person who was charged with killing Michael Jackson. Though I think there's a lot of other people in play here. Just, my opinion. While we're talking about Michael's passing, let's talk about how Paris experienced it. Now, Paris Jackson is probably the most outspoken out of all the siblings. She's worked as a model and she's been, out here doing interviews, opening up. So we've gotten a lot of information about her. Reports write that Paris opened up about how her life drastically changed after the death of her dad. This was just weeks before he was kicking off his farewell tour, and he passed away on June 25th, 2009. So it's actually pretty close to the anniversary of his death. Billions of people watched Paris take to the stage to pay tribute to the late star at his televised memorial service, where she dubbed him as the best father you could ever imagine before crying on stage. Let's go ahead and watch that moment together.
Ever since I was born, Daddy has been the best father you could ever imagine.
So that's hard to watch, and she's so young on that stage. I can't imagine what an 11-year-old is experiencing. Now, in 2013, Paris actually tried to take her own life. She was struggling with mental health. She later revealed that she attempted this a number of times during an interview with Rolling Stone in 2017. She said, I was crazy. I was actually crazy. I was going through a lot, like teen angst. I was also dealing with my depression and anxiety without any help. Emergency officials say they responded to an overdose in the Calabasas area where Paris lives, but did not identify the patient. It also looks like Paris had issues with self-mutilation and harming herself, which is something that it's really difficult to talk about in general, where someone will inflict pain on themselves to alleviate and to cope with their feelings inside.
It was everything, man. I think a lot of it was just not knowing who I was, being a young girl, going through puberty, and probably a lot of just my situation and a lot of pressure. It was really hard, and like, people would tell me to kill myself every day. And I was depressed.
Paris claims that part of her depression came from hanging out with a lot of older people and doing crazy things. She said when she entered into a private school in the 7th grade, she didn't fit in with kids her own age. She said, I was doing a lot of things that 13, 14, 15-year-olds should not do, which I think is an experience where a lot of people who are living in the Los Angeles area or any big city. I mean, I feel like I lived in kind of like a more suburban, so I wasn't exposed to like the fast life at a young age. I had a very full childhood, but I can't imagine like going to high school here in LA or living in New York City or what you would see, because you're exposed to so much at a young age. Plus, I think she coming from money and hanging out with, you know, certain people, maybe in the industry, probably was no good.
I gained a lot of weight, and food became an addiction. And then a cousin called me fat, and I was like, okay, so I can't do that anymore, and that's how I felt self-harm.
I would cut and burn myself. I never thought that I would die from it because I was the one that was in control.
It is so scary to see how casually she's talking about that, and it's sad that she went to that point. And I really hope that anyone who's watching this, if you do have any feelings like that, please go and get the proper help. It is out there, it's available, and trust me, it's worth it. Paris claims that she was SA'd by a complete stranger when she was only 14 years old. She said, I don't want to give too many details, but it was not a good experience at all, clearly, and it was really hard for her at the time. She said she didn't tell anybody. Paris has also spoken about her mental health and how she feels like her father's fame has triggered her as a person.
I experience audio hallucinations sometimes of camera clicks and severe paranoia, and have been going to therapy for a lot of things, but that included, and I've like started EMDR.
Like you hear camera
I'll hear
clicks?
like a trash bag rustling, and I like flinch and panic.
Is that from the paparazzi?
Yeah, I think it's just like, it's just standard PTSD. It does a lot to your nervous system because you're constantly in fight or flight.
Exactly.
Fight, flight, freeze, collapse. You're constantly like walking on eggshells, constantly looking over your shoulder. Like you have to sit up straight and act right, because if you don't, it not only reflects on your reputation, your family's reputation.
It's fascinating because I feel like Michael's relationship with the paparazzi rubbed off on his children. So he feared them. He didn't like them. He had this paranoia of seeming a certain way when the paparazzi were around. While you see some celebrities, they could care less when they see them. They just shoo them away. But Michael had a very high regard for how he was seen by the paparazzi. So these kids became really anxious and paranoid to please at all times. Despite what his children had gone through, I think we can all agree that Michael had a close relationship with them. They were the priority in his life, and he saw them as the key to experiencing the childhood he never had. Because remember, he was a child star. It doesn't seem like he ever tried to push his children to become child stars either. His children remained loyal and defensive of their father even after the controversies and allegations against him. So there's some type of bond there, and I don't think they have much resentment for him.
It's a rare glimpse of Jackson as father, a side not often seen in public.
Michael was an incredible father. He actually was one of the best fathers I'd ever seen. He would spend time with his children, he would talk to his children, he would spend time teaching his children.
They were the world to him. He doted over them, he had taught them to read early, and he was constantly with them. They never left his side.
Daddy? Thank you for giving me ice cream. You're the best dad in the whole world, and I love you.
I'm not here to say Michael Jackson was a good father or a bad father, but I do want to acknowledge that his children are survivors for being his children and, you know, going through this, losing their dad at a young age and coping up until this point, especially with those allegations that came out. I mean, Michael Jackson has become the center of a lot of controversy, a few different documentaries as well. The damning allegations have tainted the singer's legacy even after his death, leaving doubt in some people's minds as to what went on in the singer's former estate. Prince said after he died, we got bombarded with everything. He was asked about his father's allegations, about rumors of his father changing his skin color. He said it was a shock. It all came at once, but we learned how to deal with it just kind of by ignoring it, which I guess that does help. It's a complicated life, and it makes you thankful for what you have. I think sometimes we see these celebrities and people think, especially when you're young, you know, oh, you want this or you want that, but you know, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. So try to be grateful for what you got today and thankful for what you have and what you can possibly give. I think that the sentiment that Michael was trying to give his children a life that he never had was true. And I think that's something he always sought, was this childhood that he never had, which kind of seemed a little bit creepy when you became an older guy. But you know what? Let's move on. Let him rest, I guess, in peace for now. I mean, there are a bunch of allegations, though, against him still. And a lot of people are still like advocating for those. So I want to hear what you guys think in the comments below about Michael Jackson, because I know there's going to be half the comments that are like supporting him. Half of them are talking about the allegations against the men. I think we've talked about them before on this channel, maybe the podcast channel. I know we've talked about him plenty, but I wanted to do a deep dive into the sons as well. That's why I started with them, because I feel like we don't talk about them enough. But there's my ramble. I hope you guys enjoyed. Do you like my hat? I actually got it when I was in London. A little Red Bull moment. You guys know, because I love my Red Bull. Okay, I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.